Hi, welcome to the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and I'll be your host today, or this evening I should say. Welcome, thank you for joining me. If you are new, thank you so much for checking me out. I hope you'll enjoy what you see, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. I am actually filming at night. Today is Wednesday the 29th of November. There's a couple of reasons why, but the main reason being Perry is out this evening with his friends. My husband, he's out with his friends for dinner and drinks. So since Layla's sleeping, I thought I would take advantage and try and record a podcast tonight, because things are going to start getting quite busy in the next couple of weeks. So I really wanted to get one out. And also we recently got some brighter sort of white bulbs for our lamps. Whereas before the lights on our lamps were very yellow and I never really liked them that much. I always wanted like proper bright white bulbs. So we got those, and I'm actually thinking this is going to give pretty good colour accuracy. I was sort of testing it earlier, and I like this setup for the colour accuracy that it provides. It is a little bit harsh lighting wise, and I will in future, you know, I do always intend to try and record my podcasts during the day, but occasionally it's good to know now that this is going to be a viable option in the future. If I can't always record during the daytime, that I can do it at night. So that's what I'm doing. It is about 7:45, so it's not that late really. But yeah, so let's get going. Places you can find me online: I'm most active on Instagram. You can find me there as Knitting Expat, and you can find me on Ravelry as Mina Phillip, and you can find the podcast group on Ravelry as the Knitting Expat Podcast Group. You can find my my patterns for sale on Ravelry as under Knitting Expat Designs, and all of that stuff is linked down below this video on YouTube. Show notes can also be found at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. So I think that pretty much covers all the bases. Like I said, you can find links to everything that I've all the places that you can find me online below, and the show notes will have links where relevant to anything online. Most of the works in progress and projects that I talk about are designs anyway, so I don't usually link to projects just because they're not out there yet to patterns, I mean, so they don't exist yet. Like I said, mostly my designs. I mean, some of them do now, but anyway. Moving on. I feel like I've babbled there for a bit. And the other reason I wanted to record tonight was Friday, which is my usual recording day, is the 1st of December, and I really want to give Vlogmas a go this year. I'm not going to be doing it as okay, so for those of you who don't know, I should probably explain. For those of you who don't know what Vlogmas is, it's basically where you vlog every day and upload every day up until in the run up to Christmas. So quite a few podcasters did it last year, and I know other YouTubers do it as well. It's not just like within the knitting community, it is quite a big thing that people do, and it's not just with like Christmas time, they do it other months of the year as well. But the Christmas one is the one that seems to be really popular, that a lot of people do. And I wanted to, and I originally thought about doing it and then sort of brushed it off and was like, no, it's just too much commitment, it's too much work, especially with a baby and stuff like that. It's just a lot to handle. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned, if you knew, I do also have a baby girl. She's 9 months old and she's also sleeping, which is, I'm not sure, I think I mentioned that, I can't remember now. Anyway, so yeah, I just didn't think I would be able to manage it. But in the last few months I've been doing vlogging weeks, and then, you know, alternating between vlogging weeks and then podcast weeks, and that's actually worked out really nicely, and I've really liked how that's been going, and I've been enjoying the vlogging side of things. So I wanted to just see if there was a way to make Vlogmas work, so I could be able to do it this year. And I also thought, because it's going to be Layla's first Christmas, and it would be nice to sort of commemorate that in some way, or have a record of that in video that she can look back on. I guess vlogs are now like at least for me anyway, are the new version of like home movies. And my parents took lots of, we had a video camera and my parents took lots of video footage. We have so many home movies of us as kids, me and my brother as kids, and I really want Layla to have stuff like that. So I feel like vlogging is, sorry that I keep shaking the table, I feel like vlogging is the new version of making home movies, I guess. Anyway, so like I said, I really want to give it a go. So what I'm going to do, I will vlog every day I won't necessarily guarantee I will upload every day, but when I do upload, I will upload each day individually. So if I go 3 or 4 days without uploading, I will upload the 3 or 4 days as individual daily vlogs, but they might all go up on one day. Just because we're going to be traveling a bit, there's going to be some other busy things happening, and I'm not always going to have time to sit down and edit a vlog in the evening to put it up that same day. It's just not practical. I'm not going to commit to that. I'm not going to even say that I'm going to do that, because if I say that, then it's never going to happen, because I know it's not going to be feasible all the time to be able to do that. And occasionally there'll be some times when, you know, one day's vlog just really doesn't have much content, in which case I might merge it with like another day or something. I don't know, we'll see how things go. I'm playing it by ear. I will endeavour to vlog every day in December, and I might even go past Christmas and just do the whole month. We'll see, depends how it goes. And because I was planning on vlogging our trip back to the UK anyway, we're going back to London and the UK general just before Christmas, and we're going to be there until like the first week of January. So I was planning on vlogging the trip anyway, so realistically I've only added like an extra 3 weeks worth of vlogging, and one of those would have been a vlogging week anyway at least. So it just doesn't feel like it's adding that much more work to my schedule, as it were. And like I said, as uploading them as daily vlogs should actually make the editing quicker, whereas I used to sort of vlog for a week and then sit down and edit them all in one go. That ended up being a lot of footage to edit in one shot, but doing it as a daily one might make it quicker. I don't know, we will see. Like I said, I've never done this before, so yeah, anyway, I seem to have waffled on for 5 minutes about nothing related to knitting directly. So let's get going. One other bit of news to quickly share with you guys is that the Sock Club pre-sales are now available, so you can now purchase either the Wanderlust Club, which is the beginner friendly club, or the Cozy Club, which is the more intermediate advanced club. And they're not, when I say intermediate advanced or beginner, doesn't mean that, you know, if you're a beginner you can't do the intermediate advanced one, and if you are a more experienced sock knitter that you couldn't do the beginner one. It's just more, that's what it's aimed at. So if you're a complete beginner and you want something that's going to take you slightly beyond just plain vanilla socks, that would be a good club to join. And if you've been knitting socks for a while and you want something that's a little bit more challenging, let's say, or you want something that's a little bit more thought-provoking, something that's a little bit more than just knit pearl textures essentially, then the Cozy Club is a good one for that. It sort of expands your horizons, I guess, with sock knitting beyond simple knit pearl textures. So, and the beginner club has more than just knit pearl textures in it, but they're as easy, the patterns are as easy as just knit pearl textures, if that's kind of what I was going for. Anyway, I have a whole video about that which you will be able to find on my channel, and if I remember I will link it down below as well, so you can go directly to it, which explains in detail about the sock club. And there is also a sock club information thread in the podcast group which has a whole bunch of information in there from the video, and also I've answered a whole ton of questions that people have had, so make sure you read through that thread if you have any questions to see if it's already been answered. Okay, let's move on to finished objects. Yeah, I have quite a few to share with you. I have 7 basically since the last time I did a sit-down podcast. If you watched any of my vlogs, you'll have seen other finished objects, but in terms of actual sit-down podcast, I always sort of re-show everything, even if it's been in a vlog, just because I do show notes for podcasts and not for vlogs. Okay, so first up we have a pair of vanilla socks, which these socks were on my needles for such a long time, only because I cast them on, did the ribbing, and then didn't touch them basically for a month, which was fine because these were always just going to be plain vanilla socks, and I wanted to keep them for just when I needed plain vanilla knitting, so basically at the cinema. So I knit these actually, I knit most of these whilst watching Thor at the cinema, which I really enjoyed. And this sock yarn is by Crick Yarn Handmade, and this is in the Satrangi colorway on her Rosanna sock base, if I remember everything correctly. That's 75/25 superwash merino nylon, and it is so soft. I would, you know, I think this is more like an 80/20 or something that had a bit of cashmere in it, or something really luxurious. rather than just a regular sort of 75-25 blend. It's just really fun sort of speckled colours. And I've knit these as gifts for a friend of mine. I'm actually not entirely sure who it's going to go to exactly, but I've knit it at a size that's going to fit, that would fit a few of my friends. And so all these socks I'm going to show you were all knit on US 1s, either Chiagus or high sharps. So I'm just putting that out there. Those are basically my sock needles of choice. Some will have been knit concurrently, so on 2 separate needles at the same time. Some will have been knit 2 at a time. I just go with whatever takes my fancy. So next up I have one of the club patterns. This is one of the patterns for the Cozy Club, so the more intermediate patterns. And this is out of Cozy Knitter Yarn, appropriately named. Cozy Knitter Yarn in her Spectrum colourway with contrasting heels, toes and cuffs. And yeah, I really like how this has turned out. I really love the rainbow. You know me, I love a good rainbow. So that's those. Then, what else do we have? Then we have another club pattern sock. And the colour accuracy on these is actually pretty good. And with the artificial lighting, you can see the stellina in this, you can see the sparkle. This is yarn by Yoshi and Lucy Knits, or Yoshi and Lucy Yarns, I guess, sorry. I'm getting mixed up with her Instagram name. And this is on her stellina base, and it is the chocolate cake colourway. Sorry, for some reason my sentences are not forming correctly in my head. This pair of socks I cast on the day we got to Toronto that evening. We went to Toronto last week, which I'll talk more about later. But I cast on the Saturday evening. We got there on Saturday lunchtime, so I cast these on Saturday evening after Layla went to bed. And then I finished them basically at the airport before we flew back to New York. And yeah, so these were my Toronto knitting project. This was the only thing I knit on the entire week we were there, and I finished them, so I was quite chuffed with that. I've finished 5 of the sock club patterns now, and I have a 6th one on the needles, and then once that's finished, that's basically half the patterns done. This would be 12 patterns overall over the 2 sock clubs combined. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. My original goal had been to have 6 of them done by the end of the year, and then I didn't think that was going to happen, and then I had a bit of a panic one week and like power knit 3 of them. So then I think I'm good now. I might take a break from knitting the sock club patterns until the end of the year and just focus on a few other things that I want to work on in the meantime. More about that another time. Other socks that I finished knitting are these ones. This is by Artisan Yarns, their Blueberry colourway. It's an alpaca sock yarn, so I'm not sure if I've shown these on a podcast before or not as a finished object. I remember vlogging when I washed them, because I washed these in a washing machine. I don't think I've done a podcast since that, so I'm just trying to, for some reason, no, I haven't shown these on a podcast. So the yarn label said that these were machine washable, and I've never seen a sock yarn with alpaca content that was machine washable. So, and it's machine washable and tumble dry safe, apparently. I didn't tumble dry them. I don't ever tumble dry hand knit socks, but I do machine wash most of my hand knit socks, unless I know that they are specifically non-superwash. So I really wanted to give it a go. So I did. I threw them in the wash, treated them the same as I do any of my other hand knit socks when I wash them, and I get this question all the time. I literally throw them in with my regular clothes, and I actually don't even bother separating my clothes, like whites and colours. They all go in together. I don't have that many light coloured clothing anyway. I don't have any that's really white, so it's not an issue. And then sorry, the iPad where I'm keeping an eye on Layla is flagging up notifications. But yeah, so I throw them in my regular wash. I did soak them first. I generally, because I do block my socks, you know, so they look pretty if I'm gifting them or to show on the podcast, I do check to see if they bleed, because if they do bleed, then I do like sort of hand wash them a couple of times until it stops, and then I'll put them in with a regular wash. So I did soak these in some water just to see, and in hot water as well, like I did really pretty hot water, just to see if any colour would come out of them, so before I put them in the wash. And no colour came out of them, they were very colour fast. So I threw them in the wash with the regular clothes, regular detergent, nothing special. The only extra thing I throw in when I do wash hand knit socks with my clothes is a colour catcher, and it's just a sheet. It's called a colour catcher. The brand I use is by Shout. It's called Shout Colour Catcher. I just get it on Amazon, and I think it's like $4 or $5 for a box of like 25 sheets. So I throw one in every time I wash hand knit socks with my regular clothes, and that picks up any residual colours that do come out. Typically I think it's the greens that give off some colour, because it usually comes out, the colour catcher comes out looking a bit green, but never transferred any colour onto any clothes. So yeah, that's what I do, and then I just hang them to dry. And as you can see, there is no felting at all. The fuzziness is just because of the alpaca halo, but there's, you know, the stitch definition is as good as it was before it was washed. There you go. I'll just show you the heel there. So yeah, if you want to see this more up close and stuff, you can watch the vlog that I did before, the Toronto vlog, because I show you all that in real time essentially as it went through the wash and stuff. So yeah, there was that. Then we also have another pattern of mine that is now actually out, but this is also a bonus pattern that comes with the sock clubs. So I actually showed this to you guys before, but couldn't show you the design because it hadn't been released yet. But this is the pattern. This is the Mistletoe Kisses socks, and it's called Mistletoe Kisses because the yarn is called Mistletoe Kisses, and I couldn't come up with anything better. So the yarn is by Turtle Pearl Yarns in their Mistletoe Kisses colorway, which is their Christmas colorway for this year, and this is on their regular sock base, so it's not sparkle or anything else. And I think it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, and I just used a contrasting red color that I had in my stash that matched really well with the red stripes in the yarn. And as you can see, it's this little, the pattern creates these little dashes along your work, and it works really well for self-striping yarn in sort of like highlighting and pulling the colors into the other stripe, just to kind of give it a bit of something. And it's actually really easy to work. It's really not complicated at all, but I have also done a video tutorial which you get with the pattern on how to work the stitch, in case the written instructions are a bit confusing, because I know sometimes that can be a little bit tricky for some people to visualize instructions when they're written if they're not entirely sure what they're doing. So I did do a video tutorial for it. So the pattern is available for individual purchase. However, and this is a caveat, because this is a free bonus pattern that you get with either of the sock clubs for next year. So if you do purchase this as an individual pattern, you don't get any sort of additional discount for the sock clubs, because the sock clubs are already heavily discounted. So it is a freebie that you get with the sock clubs, but if you only want this pattern, then that's fine, you can purchase it separately as well. And so the actual finished object that I have to show you are these ones. I knit little baby tube socks for Layla, so we can be matchy at Christmas time, because I'm just that sappy. But yeah, so I use the same contrasting red that I use for the heels on mine for her cuffs and her toes. And yeah, I didn't put any heels in because I'm hoping that these will still fit her next year. I tried them on her today actually, and they basically, if I don't roll the cuff down, it comes up to just under her knees. So they're essentially knee socks for a baby that's 9 months old, or my baby anyway, because she's actually quite a big baby. But yeah, so, and I knit them slightly larger than I would knit her socks now anyway. I think I have a baby sock recipe pattern out, and so I essentially used the numbers from that for the next size up than what I would knit for Layla now, and just didn't put in a heel and just knit them for as long as I wanted. And then yeah, did the toe, bound off. And so yeah, the idea of having a tube sock, if you've never heard of this before, for kids, it's because kids' feet grow so quickly that by the time you put, you know, when you put in a heel, if they're by the time their foot outgrow that, then they can't really wear the socks anymore. But with tube socks, because there is no heel, as their foot grows, they can just keep wearing the sock until it's not wide enough anymore. And it just means the leg of the sock gradually gets a little bit shorter. So right now, her foot, the heel of her foot comes somewhere like here. So you can see it's a really long leg on her at the moment. But as she gets older and her feet get longer, then the leg will get shorter, essentially. So it just gives more longevity to socks that you knit for your kids. There's that. And the last, well not last actually, the next finished object I have to show you is this adorable little set. It's a little baby mittens and a baby bonnet for Layla. I was saying to Perry a couple of weeks ago now, after we went out one day and it was really windy and her cheeks got super red, which later we found out was also teething, but still, I was like, her cheeks are getting really red from the wind and stuff, so she needs a hat that's also going to cover the sides of her face and her ears more completely, because with hats at the moment, because she's in a stroller most of the time when we're out, she rubs her head a lot. I don't know if all babies do this, but my baby does. She does this a lot, like rubs her head against the back of the stroller. Even when she's not wearing a hat, she does that all the time, so it's not a hat thing. So what happens is the hat just like moves up on her head no matter what you do. So I thought a bonnet would be good because it will always cover her ears, and if I pop a little strap on the bottom, then it's not going to budge off her head. I would have done a tie or something, but quite frankly she would have yanked it, tore it off, or done something. As it is with this, every now and again she pulls on it, but with a tie would have been more of a thing for her to play with. Anyway, so I was talking to Perry about it. I was saying I really need to make her a bonnet, blah blah blah, and I had this yarn already wound up ready to go, and the yarn is by Tanis Fibre Arts. It's on their, I think it's called Pure Wash Worsted, or it's their worsted base anyway, in the iris colorway. And so I just cast on one evening, and the next day I finished it. Again, it's in the vlog if you watch that. And yeah, so I sent Perry a picture of her wearing it, and he was like, do you just like imagine these things and they appear out of nothing? Because it was that quick. We literally just talked about it the night before, and then the next day she was wearing it. But it really didn't take that long to knit. In the end, actually, after I sent him the picture, I did rip out the crown and make it slightly shorter in length, in depth, because it was a bit too long for her. And it would have been fine, but because she's in a stroller, like I said, she does the head thing, it was too loose. Anyway, so I did that. I also knit her a pair of mittens, which a few people suggested, and I had originally planned on putting a cord or like attaching them together so they would go through her jacket or something so she wouldn't lose them. But to be perfectly honest, my baby runs quite hot. She doesn't need mittens all that often in the stroller. She usually likes to hold on to something, so she doesn't like to have her hands covered all the time. And occasionally when it is cold and I put a blanket over her and tuck her in the stroller, she doesn't mind having her arms tucked in as well, so it kind of negates the need for mittens. She also doesn't have a winter coat. I had ordered her a couple of winter coats to try out, but neither of them really fit the right way, and they were too long in the arms, so even if we had kept one of them, she wouldn't have needed mittens because her hands would have been covered with the coats. And I just found they were a bit too bulky for using them in the stroller and stuff. I'd just rather layer her up in extra layers and stuff. And especially after this trip to Toronto that we did, we figured out, for now anyway, she really doesn't need a coat, not a proper winter coat, not until she's really walking properly. For now, I sort of layer on knitwear, and then I got like a little, quite a thin sort of rain jacket essentially, which acts as like a windproof layer on top, and that works out really well because the knits keep her warm, and then the windproof layer is just an extra barrier against wind. So for now she's not really needed the mittens. I've put them on her like a couple of times, but I've not really noticed a difference when she wears them and not. So for now I'm not going to put a cord on them just because she's not wearing them that often at the moment, but we'll see how things go. As for the bonnet, I am planning on writing up the pattern. I did take some notes when I knit it, so I'm planning on writing this up at some point, hopefully before Christmas, but we will see. And the final finished object that I have to talk to you about is the one that I'm wearing. It is my mix and match cardigan. I'm not going to stand up and show it to you right now, but it's finished. It is all done. I finished it just before we left for Toronto. I finished it the night before we left, and I'm so chuffed with how it's turned out. I absolutely love it. I finally got to block it after we got back. I wasn't originally going to block it because I really liked how it fit before blocking, but the collar wasn't staying down properly, and I realized it just really needs a good block just to keep the collar in place. So I did block it once we got back, and sorry, a bit of a hangnail. Yeah, and the collar now sits perfectly and doesn't budge or anything. And I really like the open collar look because the v-neck in a cardigan, because you know, you can then wear like a shawl or anything to cover this area if you want, or leave it open. It's better for like managing body temperatures and stuff like that. At the moment I do actually have the cuffs flipped up because they do come very long. I kind of forget sometimes that superwash grows a lot when it's blocked, and I actually really love it with the long cuff. Like, I really do enjoy that. But I like the fact that because it's so long, you can also cuff it if you want to keep the sleeves out of the way a little bit more, and you know, have a more sort of normal sleeve length essentially. So I do like that. The body did grow as well with washing, with blocking. I mean, I didn't stretch it out or anything, laid it flat to dry like normal, but it did grow quite a lot. But it is also a superwash yarn. The yarn is by Into the World. It's on their superwash DKs, their Dresden DK base, and it is in the mildly amusing colorway, the kettle dyed version, and I absolutely love it. I love this colorway. I love how it works in this design. I love how I just love everything about it. So yeah, that's that. And this on 4mm needles. I also knit this on 4mm needles, the mittens and the bonnet. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to be sending the pattern out to my test knitters tonight after I finish recording this, and yeah, so hopefully the pattern will be released in early February. I'm giving my test knitters 2 months to knit the cardigan because I feel like that's only fair for a garment, especially considering it's the Christmas season coming up and everyone's going to be busy with family and gift knitting and stuff like that if you are doing it. So I wanted to give my test knitters plenty of time to work on it. Okay, so I guess we better move on to works in progress. I only have 2 to show you, so this will be pretty quick, this segment. So what I have to show you is actually another pair of socks. This is another one for the sock club. I can get this out without showing the patterns. And this is how the yarn is knitting up. Like I said, the colour accuracy is actually pretty good because the light is white, it's a white light. And this is Babel's yarns on her merino sock base, so 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And this is on her Calypso, in her Calypso colorway, which is really beautiful. I absolutely love how it's working up in this pattern as well. So this is also being knit on 2.25mm needles, and yeah, I love it. I'm actually about 2.5 repeats away on both socks from getting to the toes, so these will be finished pretty quickly. And my next work in progress is another new design. Shock horror. When am I not working on a design? Never. So this is being knit out of some beautiful Primrose Yarn Company yarn. This is on her Jasper DK, and it is in the Nasty Unicorn colorway. Sorry. Primrose Yarn Company. And yeah, Jasper DK is 100% superwash merino wool, 247 yards in 100 grams. It's a 3-ply DK weight, which means it is super plump and super squishy and delicious to work with. And yeah, so don't want to get my yarns all tangled up. So the pattern that I am working on is another children's design pattern. And depending on how well this goes, I might try and size it for adults as well, because I think it'd be really fun. But it's a cardigan. I don't think I've done a cardigan for children yet. No, I haven't. So it's a cardigan. It's also going to have a shawl collar, like the cardigan I've got on now. So I've just got a bit on my nail that keeps catching everything. And I've already split for the sleeves. I literally cast on yesterday. This is everything I knit yesterday. Haven't touched it yet today. Tiny baby sleeves. And yeah, you can see here on the front the start of the cable. And there's the same on the other front side. Little cable detail there. And then on the back, there's a larger chunky cable running down the back of the cardigan, which is again really, really fun. And the cables are really easy to work, they're nothing complicated. And yeah, so that's that. I am knitting the 1 to 2 year size because I plan on this fitting Layla for next winter as well, hopefully. And yeah, let me see if I can get a good colour representation. I think this is the lighting is kind of washing it out just a little bit. It is quite a light coloured yarn with speckles of like pinks and sort of minty greens and oranges and browns and all sorts of colours in there. There's a lot of colour. There we go. But yeah, I'm really loving how this is working up. I love working with this DK base. It's super squishy and wonderful to work with. And yeah, I actually had designed this. I had this idea for this design pretty early on this year. And I actually sat down and typed up the initial draft, which is what I'm working from right now. I think it must have been like in April or May of this year. And I don't know why I just never sat down to cast it on. I think I was having some reservations about the design. I was thinking of maybe changing a couple of things, and I just wasn't entirely sure if it was going to work out how I thought. And the other day I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to cast it on, see how it goes. Worst case, I rip it out and do something different, but I won't know until I try. So so I decided to just cast it on, and I've really been enjoying knitting on it, to be honest. Like, I know I only cast it on yesterday, but I really enjoyed working on it yesterday. So so yeah, I think it's going to go well, and hopefully you guys will like it too. No idea when that will be coming out. New year for sure. It won't be this year. So yeah, so that's basically it for works in progress. Only those two to show you. And yeah, so I'm going to move on to acquisitions really quickly. Again, not a lot to show you. I didn't go to any yarn shops when we were in Toronto. I know there are a couple of really good ones, and I had thought about it, but quite frankly, I don't need yarn. I don't need to buy any more yarn. You know, it was a family holiday. I'd already taken one evening out to go see some friends for dinner, but other than that, the week was about us, the three of us as a family, going away and spending time together. So I didn't really want to drag Perry and Layla to a yarn shop, especially because both of, you know, the two that I was aware of weren't all that they weren't walking distance from where we were staying, and we tried to pretty much do everything within walking distance of where we were staying, just because we didn't want to deal with transportation and any issues with that. It was just supposed to be a really relaxing week away, and it really was. We really enjoyed it. But like I said, for that reason, we didn't end up actually doing all that much shopping. I didn't do any yarn shopping. We barely bought anything. I think we bought a Christmas ornament, and we bought a Starbucks Canada mug to go with our Starbucks mug collection, and that's all we got really to bring back with us. The best memories, the best souvenirs we have are the memories and the video I took and photos we took and stuff like that. So so yeah, but I did come back with a copy of Rib magazine, because as I mentioned earlier, I did go out and meet up with some friends for dinner one of the nights that we were there. And Eric, who is the podcaster behind Sticks Plus Time podcast, and also one of the founders behind Rib magazine, also lives in Toronto. And yeah, so he kindly gifted me a copy of the magazine when we met up for dinner. And I absolutely love this sweater on the front. This jumper on the front is beautiful. There's so many beautiful patterns in here. Like this colorwork cowl is beautiful. And just see, there's a whole feature in here on sequence knitting, which is really interesting. This cabled jumper is just stunning. I really wish Perry would let me knit for him more frequently, or just knit for him full stop. He's not a huge fan of he's like, I've already knit him a scarf, a cowl and a hat, and he's like, well, that's all I need, I don't need any more. I'm like, but you could have more than one hat and more than one scarf or more than one cowl. He's like, no, I just need the one of each, that's it. So the only thing he actually lets me knit him are socks, and even that, he's just kind of like, okay, well, I don't need any more socks, I'm going to have too many, and then I'm not going to be able to wear them all. I'm just like, it's fine. You'll build up a stockpile, and eventually some will wear out, and you'll get new ones, and you'll have new ones to wear. But yeah, he's not hugely into a lot of things like this. Like, it's not his style, which is fine, it's not what he wears. Also, he's quite a warm person as well, so he doesn't get cold very often, or he doesn't really, the cold doesn't bother him as much, so he doesn't tend to layer up the same way that I do. Anyway, I'm trying to work on getting him to let me knit him a jumper. So people say, I've even said I'll do it in fingering weight for him, because that's how much I love him and how much I want to knit him something, like an actual garment. Anyway, moving on. So thank you so much to Eric for that. And the other thing that I got in the mail after we got back from Toronto, the whole get your yarn wishes granted thing was going around Instagram a couple of weeks ago, I guess it started, and I didn't take part. It started 2 years ago, I think. I didn't take part either. I don't know when it started, to be honest, but the last couple of years that I've been aware of it, I haven't taken part. Last year I granted a couple of wishes, but I didn't ask for anything. Let's be honest, I've never felt the need to ask for anything, not because just because I feel like I'm really fortunate to be gifted a lot of yarn and stuff, either for designs or just in general from people. I just don't feel the need to ask for any more, but I do try and grant a couple of wishes every year if I can. And anyway, so one person whose yarn wish I'd granted, she was super thankful, and honestly it was a pleasure. Like, I didn't need anything in return, but she asked if she could send me some stuff. She actually also has it. She's actually one of my test knitters for the Nahid dress, which I forgot to mention is also now out and available for purchase in my Ravelry store. It is a children's dress pattern, and which I have shown recently on the podcast before and on vlogs and stuff, so you can check that out. And yeah, anyway, she was one of my test knitters for that pattern, and her daughter is a few months older than Layla, so she said that she had a few clothes that her daughter hadn't really had a chance to wear very much or at all, that she wanted to send along for Layla, and also if she could send me some yarn from the same dyer that she used for the dress. And I said thank you, like obviously you don't have to, but I really appreciate it at the same time. So I'm sending her a package. I haven't actually sent it yet. I feel quite bad, but this week has been a little bit crazy. Actually not actually all that crazy, I've just been not feeling great. But I still have to send out her package. I was literally putting her package together when her package arrived, and it was insane. There was so much stuff in there. Mostly, like I said, clothes for Layla, which I really, really appreciate. It's all in like 12 months and up sort of sizes, which is great for her right now. And then she sent me some yarn, and the yarn she sent me was from the dyer, the company Autumn and Indigo. And I can't remember the dyer's name, but I went on her website and her yarn is beautiful. Her yarn is so lovely. The website is autumnandindigo.com, and it'll be linked in the show notes. And she sent me some really beautiful yarn. And looking at it on the camera now, I realise these are kind of like Gryffindor colours, which ironically is my Harry Potter house, according to Pottermore. That wasn't what I was going for when I told her which colours I liked. But this one is, the colourway is called Cinnabar. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards and 100 grams. And if you've been watching the podcast for a while, you might think this colourway looks familiar, because it is. This is almost exactly the same colour as the yarn I used to knit the Nahi dress. Completely by coincidence, because the yarn I used for the Nahi dress was by Little Bean Loves Yarn, and she dyed it as a custom colourway for me. So I thought that was really quite funny that this turned out to be almost exactly the same colour. Now, I genuinely thought that this was a slightly brighter red on the computer. It could just be my screen, but I absolutely love this more plummy colour as well. It's absolutely stunning. I really love it. And the other colourway, so this was on a fingering base, and this other colourway is called Gold Rush, and this is on a 100% superwash merino sport weight, and it is 200 yards in 50 grams. So these are half skeins essentially, and this is stunning. I really love this. I'm not entirely sure what these are going to be yet. I don't know, but they're super squishy and they're really, really, really lovely. They might have to become a really luscious pair of socks. I don't know, we will see. But thank you so much to Taylor. That's who it was who sent it to me. I hope that you don't mind me mentioning your name, but yeah, absolutely love these yarns. So that's it for acquisitions. In terms of other news, knit-alongs, the knit-alongs are still running for a couple more days. The Sock Club knit-along from this year is running for a few more days. It finishes at the end of November, when I will close the threads and draw for prizes in the beginning of December, and I'll probably do a prize winners video early next week for that. And then we have the Knitting Expat Designs year-long knit-along, which is ongoing until the end of January, and I'll be drawing prizes again for the end of November, which I'll announce again as part of the prize winners video. We have some questions and answers, but I think I'm going to save that and answer those questions in a vlog, in one of the Vlogmas vlogs. We have a couple of questions, but I will get to that soon. Then weeks in review. So like I said, Layla's now 9 months old. She's 39 weeks old. Actually, I think she's 40 weeks old today. It's crazy. She was 9 months last week. She's 40 weeks old today. I just can't believe how fast the time's gone. It's been insane. But I finally got around to taking her 9-month photos today. It took a while to get around to it because we were in Toronto last week, so I didn't have the little card that I use for her photos. She still loves her walker, loves walking around, being, you know, if you hold her hands and she'll toddle around and stuff. And so like I said, we were in Toronto last week, so that was really good fun. I have done a whole vlog for that week, so you can go ahead and watch that if you're interested in seeing what we got up to. One funny thing that I will tell you is at dinner when I went out with Eric and some other friends, so it was Eric from Sticks Plus Twine, Sandy from By the Lakeside podcast, it was Amanda and Christina from the Die Another Day podcast, and Amanda is the Yarn Enabler and Christina is the Cozy Knitter. And then there was Patricia, who is I think it's Paradise Island is her company. I can't remember exactly the name. I'm really sorry, but she does bags and stuff, which is they're really beautiful. And Ramona and Ashley as well. And so yeah, it was really lovely to see them all. Most of them I'd met before, some I hadn't, and so that was really fun. But over dinner, Christina had brought some yarn that she needed, a new colorway that she needed to wind into a gobstopper. So I offered to help her out and start the winding for her. So I was winding along, and then the cake of yarn at one point, literally just, I don't know what it was, I think when I yanked the yarn off the outside, it sort of just hit it funny or something, and it just flew off at an angle and almost landed in a little plate of balsamic vinegar and oil, which the entire table just went in that moment, but it didn't land in there. It was fine. It just landed in a few breadcrumbs, so that was easy to dust off and fix the situation. And quite soon after that, I handed the yarn back to Christina, and I was like, I'm not gonna like potentially ruin your hard work. The look on her face though, I was just like, oh no. It's fine. I would have paid for it had I ruined it, but thankfully it was okay. That's it really. We took Layla to see Santa on Sunday. That was super exciting. It was really fun to see that. She didn't cry. She really enjoyed it, which was really good. And yeah, today we had her 9-month checkup with the doctors. Everything's fine. She's absolutely healthy. She's doing great. But I was saying to the doctor that, Layla looks a lot bigger than she actually is, and even the doctor commented on that. She's for her height, she's now 30.5 inches tall. For her height, for her age, she's in the 99.5 percentile. She's basically at 100% for her age in terms of percentiles. It's ridiculous. She is so tall. And the doctor was like, yeah, her measurements and stuff, like her weight and height and everything, all her measurements measure like a 15, 16-month-old, not a 9-month-old. I was like, yes, my baby is huge. When I say that Layla's a big baby, I'm not just like saying that. She actually is. She's a lot bigger than an average 9-month-old child. which explains why when I take her to Gymboree and stuff, like some other parents look at her like she's a little bit special because she's still crawling and all the other 15, 16-month-old babies are running around. I'm like, no, she is just that young. She's not quite there yet, which is absolutely fine. Although, to be honest, because she's as big as and weighs as much as a 15, 16-month-old baby, I could do with her learning how to walk now, because it is killing my back picking her up and carrying her around so much. Anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up for today. I'm keeping this short and snappy, I hope. I had to stop and start a couple of times, so I'm not entirely sure how long this is going to end up being, but my battery light's been flashing at me for the last 4 or 5 minutes, so I've just been rushing through this last bit trying to get everything in. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast, and sorry if the lighting's a little bit off, a little bit funny or anything like that.